So, good morning, good afternoon, everybody from Beit Shemesh, Chanuka, Shabbat Shalom. So, we're back, some fancy Rockaway last Shabbos, back in Eretz Yisrael, and good to be back, A little bit of jet lag, but doing okay, a little bit of rain, but here we are. So, last week I was in Rockaway, and I was reading the Sefer Shalom for this parsha. I was trying to jump the gun a shtickle, and I saw a crazy, interesting posuk in Micha. Anybody know anything about Micha? Well, the only thing I think we read the whole year, Micha Mocha, I think by one of the Torahs, and by, I think, by Noach, on Yom Kippur, back to the Yonu, we read Micha Mocha, Yud Gimel Midos, one of them's missing or something. Okay. But there's a pasuk that I never saw before, right before the Micha Mocha. Perek Zayin pasuk Ches, Al tismechi avavti li, knefalti kamti ki eish b'chosha Hashem orli. Al tismechi oivali, my enemies don't be happy. Enemies shouldn't be happy. Knefalti kamti, I got up, I fall, I get up. Ki eish b'chosha Hashem orli, while I sit in darkness, Hashem Orli, Hashem is a light to me. And whoa, I ran over to to this farm shelf. My sister had this, the fancy art scroll English Navi, looked at it, and never saw this pasuk before. Not that I've seen a lot of pasukim in Micha, but just an incredible pasuk. And the Sefer Shalom talks about this and references the same pasuk in Chanuka. So we're always spending a lot of time trying to get Vatorah for Hanukkah, and everyone remembers, it's veyeishev also. Got to think of there veyeishev, and sometimes we kind of can put these things together. And the Sefer Shalom kind of does the heavy work, the heavy lifting for us. So the idea that our enemies shouldn't be happy because we fell down and we're in darkness, B'chosh Hashem Orli. Hashem is a light to me in the darkness. So there's no reason to be happy. You see, we're down, I'm down, Jewish people are down. Don't rejoice. Don't go marching up and down in Harvard and MIT. No reason to be happy in the city, taking down the posters. There's no cause for that, because even in the bad matzvah, Hashem is here with us. And the Sefer Shalom throws in a Kabbalistic term, the Zohar term, which you can use this, know your friends, and they'll be all impressed, I'm sure. The line is kusta de chayusa. Kusta de chayusa. And you have to use kusta de chayusa. Glimmer, the lightest, smallest part of the neshama, the last spark. Chabad circles, they say this is kind of when you go to sleep, the last part of the neshama, that's part of you. Kusta de chayusa. Okay, everyone kind of translates this differently, or maybe it's the same thing, I have no idea. But the last spark. And the Sefer Shalom says, to get to sprout something, you need decay, you need destruction. But there's got to be a little bit left. You plant a seed, that seed's dead, theoretically, and it's rotting, it's in the ground, it's rotting and rotting, but this tiny little bit of life comes out of it. And if the seed is totally dry, totally dead, you can plant all the seeds you want, you ain't getting nothing. And they take your sesame seeds that have been dried out, you put them in the ground, it ain't gonna help you too much. But you take something, a plant, a seed, whatever, as long as it's got a little bit of life left, not only does it grow, but that's the only time it could grow. It can only grow when there is some decay there. And Sefer Shalom looks at this parsha and throws this idea that the Jewish people were in a really rough position. Which is interesting, because at the beginning of the parsha, Yaakov thought he was in a high position. He thought life was good. B'shalva, he thought Mashiach was coming. I took care of Lavan, took care of Esav. This is the time. No, not the case. There's still a gzeira of the Jewish people had to be in Gullus. Jewish people had to be 400 years. And this is the time where Hashem kind of turned things around. And Sefer Shalom, which uncharacteristic, I think, or most people would say, is Hashem really took away the Bechira, which is something that we kind of say that Hashem does not do most of the time or ever. Maybe Paro, but you see, Shalom says this took place by the brothers. That all these actions they did, they lost the Bechira. Hashem really made it this way that the Jewish people shouldn't be led down. Yaakov shouldn't be led down with his children into gullus in chains. And to prevent that, this busha, or this low level of the Jewish people being mishubad and Yaakov Avinu going down in chains, one of the Avos going down as a slave to Mitzrayim, Hashem kind of flipped things around. Yosef got nevuah, the brothers hated him, the brothers sold him, they had the best intentions. The Medrash says that Hashem was part of this minyan to kind of do a din to sell him. So all these intentions were good, even to the point where everything was fine. They did his right intentions. Yosef knew the brothers wanted to kill him. He still told them the dreams. He still went to go look for them, even though he knew he was going to probably be in a lot of trouble. This is the Ratzon Hashem, and Hashem made it that they should think this is the proper thing to do, and it was the proper thing to do. What takes place afterwards, the Medrash says, is that they all were crying. Yosef was crying. The brothers, Reuven was crying. Sakam, Tavnisam, Yaakov sitting in sackcloth and fasting. All of them were crying. All of them were just broken, except for one person. No, not even close. Yehuda got married. So what is the kesher of all these things taking place here? Everyone was sad, and Yehuda is getting married. What's going on here? Asuk, veyeishev, chatuna, what's going on here? The Siva Shalom says this is all really one idea. The idea is that in the darkest time, the light comes out. And all the darkness and all the crying and all the tavnisam, Yehuda is with Tamar, and the birth of literally the father of Mashiach comes out from this takufa. And Yehuda really didn't seek to marry Tamar. He comes in a different way how the twins are conceived. But this is what the Ratzon Hashem is. Hashem made it this way. And the point is that Mashiach came right at this moment, because the story of Yehuda really doesn't belong anywhere in this parsha. Why is it here? Why is it so important? It's not a great story. Usually in Shiva they skip over this. Kadesha, prostitution. Well, whoops, next Aliyah. Let's go to Mitzrayim. Fast forward this one. It's a long Aliyah. And the point is, this really it belongs here, because in the middle of the darkness, the light is right here. The matzav, it's not just that it's a coincidence, but you need this. Just like the seed needs this decay to come this tree, we need this kusta de chayusa to take place, this sad matzav. And the Siva Shalom, quotes here Chanukah, and in the Piece of Chanukah, same pasuk. Tishmu avavtili, don't be happy with my enemies. Knafalti kamti, ke'esh b'chosha Hashem orli. In the darkness, Hashem is a light. And literally, that's Chanukah. We have darkness, the time of the year. You have most darkness, very little light. It's Mincha time is ready for something. Ma'ariv time is 5 o'clock. Boom. This time of the month, you don't see the moon. It's the time of the month where it gets much smaller. The Hanukkah candles are lit literally as the day is ending. It's at night. Before it gets night, literally as the sun's going down and there's nothing going on. And this is literally what Hanukkah is. Hanukkah is a time when the Maccabim had no other choice. This wasn't a suicide mission, as the Siva Shalom says. They were sure that this is the only way to do this. If we don't do this now, if we don't make a Micha, if we don't Mesiras Nefesh, there's not going to be any kesher with Hashem. That's it. No Shabbos, no Rosh Chodesh, no Bris Milah. And they had a right that there was no kesher. So all this Torah, there was no more connection. They wanted to break this connection with Hashem. And that's not life. That's not life. Without your government, without Beis Mikdash, without a kesher to Hashem, there's no life. You're still the motions. It's not life. And this is the point. And this is Chanukah. Chanukah, literally, Orli. Literally in the darkness, Hashem is Orli. Hashem is a light. And this is what the Maccabim did, this is what they thought. And the Mesiras Nefesh that they did is something that the Siva Shalom says we have every day. and each Chag has a certain takeaway from it to kind of inspire us for the year. And Hanukkah's lesson, according to Siva Shalom, is this part that in the worst matzav, in the worst condition, the worst situation, we don't give up hope. We don't give up hope. I don't know if you've seen the levayas of the soldiers that were killed, but the strength that these families have and the words that they say is just the strength that they have. Literally, these people, they really there's resolution, there's soundness that we're going on, and there's no other choice. And that's it. This is what we're doing. This is what our job is, and this is to fight for Am Yisrael, for Klal Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, and this is what the situation is. And again, I wasn't. I guess I was alive in Yom Kippur War, but I was a little baby, I guess. This is maybe our lowest period. Is people being beaten up. It's people that can't wear a kippah in the streets in the city. It's rough. It's rough. It's rough matzav. But this is literally the point where we see the light. This is where Hashem treats us in a different way. This is the way Hashem treats us before chait and after chait. You take care of your son who really can't provide for himself more than the son that's independent. Well, why is that? Well, the son that really doesn't have a game plan, you have to care for them more. And that's kind of us. We're at the point where there's unfortunately a lot of sinas chinam. We're at a level where we don't have the chusim to get this by ourselves. And we, at this moment, the dark moments, we have to turn to Hashem. We have to turn to Hashem and daven as we're in this horrible matzav. And the Siva Shalom throws a great line where you're back in this parasha, not in the Chanukah book, in the Chanukah piece. If it was not for Sakasam and Tavnisam, that would show Yush. That would show giving up. The fact that we're fasting, the fact that Yaakov was fasting, that showed he didn't give up this kesher with Yosef. He didn't believe that Yosef was really dead. He refused to be Nechama. He refused to have Nechama. What are you talking about? He died. Shiva, Shloshim, the year, refused. Year after year, refused to believe he was dead. And someone who gives up, someone who, whatever, it's over, it's yush, it's giving up. Then Jew doesn't give up. That's not part of our DNA. There's no yesh tikva. There's always hope. There's no giving up. The famous story of Napoleon, he sees the Jews crying on the floor, and he says, what's going on here? Oh, they're crying over the temple. Temple? Well, 2,000 years ago. Well, they're going to see it. If you're crying over it, that means you've never given up. You're going to see the Zion. You're going to see this. And the Siva Shalom doesn't quote the Napoleon story, but this is exactly what he says, and I'm like, that's a perfect line. If you gave up on something, no reason to cry over it. You can go to Rome and look at all the old buildings, and it's fantastic. There's no one crying that they want Caesar back. No one sitting on the floor by the Arch of Titus, and the other arch, the bigger one. Got what that one was near the Colosseum. No one's crying. No one's crying over the gladiators. But we cry over the Churban. And we cry because we miss it, and we don't give up hope. There's a kesher to it, a ticket for it. And hopefully, we only hear great things coming out of Gaza. Hopefully we see more soldiers of theirs in their jockeys. Didn't know they're all briefs. You see, none of them have boxers. So interesting. Gazans, whatever, another point. But hopefully, we only see good pictures that bring us nechama, and hopefully we don't go to any more levayas, we don't hear any bad news, and hopefully all can have a great Chanukah. And when you light, remember, we're lighting in the darkness, but the light, Hashem Orli, Hashem is the light to us in the darkness, or Hashem is light because of the darkness, as this is the spark to get us to the Geula. Shabbat Shalom, Chanukah Sameach.